Yo, what's up, guys? My name is Jack Bender, and welcome to episode number 1 of Bar4Bar. I have been waiting for this moment for so long. I'm so happy you guys are finally able to see the very first episode. This has been a while in the making. I have a wonderful videographer. His name is Willie Hustles. You can find him on my YouTube. You can find him tagged in some of my Instagram photos. Shout out to him for making this all possible with the cinematography, the beautiful lighting, and the incredible set we have put together here. I'm just so excited to be here, guys. I can't wait to get into this. Bar4Bar is going to be a podcast where we talk about hip hop and rap news, cultural events, and new releases. You'll see episodes every single Tuesday at 4 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And about me, I'm Jack Bender. As I said, I'm your host of Bar4Bar. I am a 19-year-old journalism major at Cleveland State University in Cleveland, Ohio. I have had an overwhelming love and passion for hip hop and rap for as long as I can remember. And to be here with you guys today, to be able to share all this, is an incredible moment, an incredible privilege, and I'm just so excited to get to work. First off on the list today, I wanted to talk about the recent comments made by pop star Billie Eilish in the Vogue magazine interview. Billie Eilish, pop icon, 18 years of age, one of the biggest names in all of music today in just under 2 years of buzz. She recently had an interview with Vogue magazine where she was talking about the quote unquote authenticity of hip hop. There was a quote that was actually used as the headline for many articles when this was advertised, and it pretty much was Billy saying this quote, "There's a difference between lying in a song and writing a story. There are tons of songs where people are just lying. There's a lot of that in rap right now, from people that I know who rap. It's like, I got my AK-47 and I'm fucking, and like, what? You don't have a gun, and all my bitches." I'm like, what bitches? That's posturing, and that's not what I'm doing. There's a few issues with this comment right here, guys. First off, I actually just want to say I was hoping, praying to God, this was just ripped from context in the interview when I first saw the headline. And I gave her the benefit of the doubt initially. I read it. It was totally out of the blue. She was essentially asked about, story writing in her music, and so she actually used the hip hop example to illustrate her point. Fair, but to say something like this, as blasphemous, as inaccurate as this, it's such a surface level understanding she seems to have of the subject. First off, there has to be a problem with lying in music to begin with. There isn't. Rap, like any other form of music, is a form of art. Who says art can't be fictitious? Whoever said that? Whoever said that every single piece of music was authentic and true to every single word? And she acts like hip hop is the only genre to really do this, which is absolutely false. Look at 80s pop, 80s rock, alternative. Before hip hop even became a mainstream genre, you have artists exaggerating details for a bigger aesthetic, a better appeal to the song. It just makes no sense to me why you would cite specifically hip hop as an example when every other musical genre does this. It's insane to me, and I don't get the reasoning behind it. In other words, there really is no reason behind it. She just wanted to poke fun at a genre that tends to receive a lot of backlash last decade or two. And she also says she's quote unquote telling a story. Yeah, but why is that so different? Why is that so different than, exaggerating details in a hip hop song? It just makes no sense to me. Billy just obviously has a very surface level understanding of the material, and I just don't even see why we should pay mind to it. Styles P actually made a comment on Billy lately. He literally goes, quote, "Why the fuck?" Or she goes, "Who?" He goes, "Who the fuck is Billie Eilish, and why should we care?" And he couldn't have said it any better. Why do we care? Why is this a big deal, and why is it even worth our time? I'm talking about it because it's trending across Twitter, across several platforms, and there's a lot of controversy over it. We shouldn't even care. Her comments are stupid. They're invalid. They're such a surface level understanding of hip hop. It's not even worth my time. It really isn't. And speaking of things that we shouldn't even give a shit about, kind of want to talk about the Grammys. Not like the 2020 Grammys this year, nominations, winners, anything like that. I kind of want to talk about why we shouldn't give a flying fuck about the Grammys. The Grammys have always been and always will be a sheer waste of time and should have no significance to an artist. It is cool. It's cool to be able to say, "I won a Grammy. I have this in my display case in my mansion, and I can say tell people in 50 years I won a Grammy award." That's cool. It's an esteemed bragging right. Not a lot of people can say that. However, how much importance does that really carry if the award is earned through votes that are made by a biased committee, the recording committee of the Grammys, just for a sheer cash grab? It just doesn't make sense to me. I don't get the significance of it. I'll be honest with you guys. Personally, I stopped watching the Grammys in 2012. Macklemore had won a Grammy with his album The Heist over Kendrick Lamar with Good Kid, Mad City. If that doesn't speak volumes in and of itself to how incredibly ridiculous and meaningless the Grammys are, I don't know what does. I really don't. I think it was also cool, shout out to Macklemore, for actually posting on his Instagram the next day, text message conversation with Kendrick. He publicly acknowledged that Kendrick should have won that. He was fully aware who was the deserving artist that should have won that award. Not him. Not to say the Heist was a bad album, but definitely not to the tier of Good Kid, Mad City, which is considered an instant classic in the 2010s. It just makes no sense to me why we even care. The Recording Academy literally selects nominations based on what's going to attract the most buzz, or excuse me, the most viewership for the actual show. Then the winners are selected based on what will give the most buzz for the longest time after the Grammys. It's a formula they've been using for 20, 30, 40 years in this award show. It's absolutely ridiculous. And the fact that we pay any mind to it, I think, is just a waste of our time and energy at this point. And I don't mean to discredit any Grammy Award winning artist. It absolutely takes talent and a reasonable amount of success to be viewed as a well-deserved or as a Grammy nominated artist. I just don't see how we can even really take this serious anymore, or how anyone can, as a serious award that carries this much prestige when it doesn't. It just makes no sense to me, and I don't get it. They've been stupid. They've been stupid for 20, 30 fucking years, and I just don't get it. You want to tell me that Milli Vanilli should have won the Best New Artist in 1990 that year for literally 15 minutes of fame? Who talks about Milli Vanilli? You walk up to some person who might be the most knowledgeable person in hip-hop you know. You're like, "Hey, you remember that Milli Vanilli track?" "No." "Oh, well, nope, never heard of them." It's so ridiculous. And the fact that we give this acknowledgement, this high prestige to the Grammys, it's a waste of our time, guys. It really is. Now that I've made my thoughts clear on the Grammys, I want to go into an album on a much more positive note that released this weekend. On Friday, we got, almost out of the blue, a new record from Denzel Curry, South Florida MC, collaborative effort with Kenny Beats, one of the most well-known, on-the-come-up producers in all of hip-hop today. The project was called Unlocked. It had 8 tracks, and what was even cooler about it that really made me anticipate this, even though it was unreleased, you guys might have noticed, on Denzel Curry's YouTube channel, on Thursday, we got a video called Unlocked. Most people had no idea what this was. Throughout the video, all 8 of those tracks were played. And for each track, it was story-based, where Kenny, Denzel are going into several styles of animation throughout the video, oftentimes based on classic cartoons. And they're trying to retrieve these files because, quote-unquote, the project got leaked. So they put on this crazy headgear, according to Kenny, that will give them the files back. They go inside the computer, the web database, and they start doing all these crazy adventures. It's really cool. And first and foremost, before I even talk about the project, I have to give credit to the marketing team of Kenny and Denzel Curry. This was brilliant. This is a super unique, super creative, almost never seen before type promotion, type marketing to market your album. It's super cool, and I expect nothing less. Denzel Curry actually earlier this year or late last year began something called Zeltron Worldwide. He was reinventing the live concert format into almost like a battle like style concert. He's done it with Flash Bush Zombies. He's done it with Joey Badass. He's now doing it with JID in just a couple weeks or a week or two. It's crazy. The guy's very creative, and for their teams to come together and not only envision this but make it possible and make it happen, it's awesome. I really like it. I think it's super cool, and I think they were both on the same page with it. It was dope. Now, as far as the actual project goes, I gotta give it to Kenny. This might be his best produced project yet. I personally think it is. The beats are among some of the funkiest Kenny has ever made. It's a mix between like boom bap and a flair of modern trap bass that matches Denzel's delivery, flow, and cadence so incredibly well. Denzel is known to be this guy that has this incredible energy as an MC and his delivery that so many artists lack. Nothing against Kendrick or any other artist of that caliber. You actually see in the background, I have Good Kid, Mad City right behind me in vinyl form. But Denzel is almost on that level, I think, at this point in his career, and has actually made strides to being, talked about in the next several years on the same level as the Coles and Kendricks. I think what separates him in this is his delivery. He's so fucking energetic. The guy commands the attention of the audience over any instrumental, no matter how abrasive, how rough, how in your face it might be. And I'm looking at this project, I look at Kenny Beats' production to accommodate to Denzel. Perfect. I loved it. I see tracks like Diet and So Incredible as, having this perfect, beat for Denzel that I could see Wu-Tang Clan rapping over back in the early 90s or mid 90s. It's super boom bap, super, ride the same kind of flow the entire track, and I love it. I absolutely love it. I think Kenny made his best beats in his entire career on this project. Not to mention a lot of funky samples. It's like I said, it's a very funky, experimental type of producing for Kenny to experiment with. I think there's really funky samples that you see, very bass heavy, so still giving that trap, but also like kind of boom bap feel. It's all in one, and I think it accommodates to him perfectly. The delivery and cadence, like I said, of Denzel is known to be a lot more up tempo than many of his previous works. You look at Taboo, you look at Imperial, you look at even 32 Zell. You're looking at a guy who can spit, and I mean spit. He switched it up a lot on this album, and I don't exactly see that as a particularly good thing. I think Denzel is very much known for, some tracks that he's rapping faster. He's more up tempo. He's just in your face, and he still is in your face and abrasive, but not to the same tempo. It wouldn't have hurt to throw a few tracks on here that might just like kick it up a notch in terms of pace. Some of the best songs in his discography, I still believe, are the most up-tempo songs. Vengeance, Perks, Gook off Imperial. I think there's a lot of them that are really worth mentioning that I think are the best tracks in his discography, or some of them. So flow-wise, I would like to see him switch it up. Otherwise, like I said earlier, he commands the attention over the instrumental, and it's so dope. It's so grasping, in your face, abrasive at times, and it just makes you nod your head. It makes you into it and be totally sucked into it, both in the production and its delivery. It's really, I think this might be, in terms of delivery, Denzel's one of his best projects ever. I really do. In terms of songwriting, though, as far as this project goes, I loved it. Denzel is actually stepping up his wordplay a ton in this project. I've seen a lot of good bars, a lot of good hooks that couldn't see Denzel really getting that like creative with before. He's definitely a creative artist, but in terms of just straight songwriting, super dope. You got lines like "Shoebox came with the doo-wop," 1 billion and 2 cops can't find Tupac, 2 shots that's grazed in 2 days, what goes up must come down on a Tuesday. That's a fucking dope bar. It's a mix of clever bars, slick wordplay. Obviously, the alcohol line is dope. Two shots, 2 grays, 2 days, followed by a reference to the old "I Love McConnon" and Drake 2014 track "Tuesday." Club going up on a Tuesday. You get it. It's really dope, and I think he, thematically, he'll have like 4 bars in a row, all playing off to the same like theme. It's really dope. I will say that there were a few hooks I was iffy on here at first. You look at "Take It Back." The hook to it seemed very gimmicky to me at first. I had really mixed feelings towards it. It didn't seem like something that I could see myself getting as much replay value from the hook. My feelings have changed towards that. The more I listened to it, it kind of got milked in a bit. It kind of just like I was force fed it in a sense that it just grew on me. It really did. I think they're dope. I think it's a dope hook. Um, Otherwise, the hooks to the rest of the album really good, really good. I think he's in his bag in terms of his delivery. He makes it clear. I have a lot of problems with rappers that they'll make a hook that sounds exactly uh, seems like an extension of the verse, I guess you could say. And Denzel always seems to separate that, and I think that's really admirable. I think that's super dope that he can do that. And although I will say, coming into this project, I was really anticipating a more, I shouldn't say ambitious, but more conceptually in depth and rich project. Because generally speaking, you look at Denzel's discography, you see, you got Imperial, really ambitious. Imperial, more just fun. You got Taboo, an ambitious project, obviously very dark themes, very thematically in depth and dense. And then you got Zoo, which was obviously most of the album was really freestyle, which is incredible to me still to this day. And I think it's been a pattern that's been repeating for Denzel for a while. And I kind of anticipated like, oh, he's gonna get really, he's gonna get something really ambitious conceptually on this one. I didn't see that. Obviously, this was much more a fun collaboration. They stayed. Kenny and Denzel said they locked themselves in Kenny's studio for 4 days to record this album, 8 tracks. I still think it's fucking dope. I think this album, although it gets a bit monotonous at times in terms of flow, was a very good release from Denzel and Kenny. I think their collaborative efforts, Kenny's production, matched with Denzel's delivery. I think first of all, I want to see Kenny do more of these beats. I would love to see Kenny get as funky and boom bap and experimental as he did on this album. I think it was some of his best beats ever, and I really want to see him kind of like go forward with that in the future, maybe to some future projects. Denzel once again delivers the best songwriting of any album so far as wordplay goes. Slick, clever, colorful, attention grabbing, super dope. Again, only complaint about this album is essentially the flow. I think it would have been good to switch it up on several occasions and kind of mix and match, you know, tempos where because I know you're working with boom bap beats which tend to, you know, I guess I should say go at the same pace for a while. But it couldn't have hurt to get something a little more up tempo, a little more faster pace. That's my only complaint really. I think this album I'm feeling a very solid 7.5 out of 10 on this. I think this was a very solid release, and I can't wait to see what Denzel and Kenny alike have in store for the next one. That has actually been it for this episode of Bar4Bar, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate all the support, all the love I've gotten in anticipation for, and even as this episode comes out, all the love I've been getting. The next episode is actually going to be Tuesday, February 18th, once again at 4 o'clock p.m. I can't wait to see you guys next week. Thank you so much again. This has been Jack. Peace out.